Hey guys, Alex here from alexfergus.com, and I've been using the Levels Health app now for 3 or 4 weeks, and I wanted to give you a bit of an update, a bit of a mini review, share some of my initial thoughts, impressions, feedback. And I do have to say, it's a pretty neat tool. I'm quite amazed at all the data and information I'm learning. So stay tuned and we'll get into it. So if you haven't heard about Levels Health yet, let me give you a quick rundown. It's an app that I use on my smartphone here, and it syncs with the Freestyle Libre continuous glucose monitor device that I have implanted, well, not really implanted, attached to the back of my arm here. Now, what this is doing is measuring my blood glucose levels. That sends data to the Libre app on my phone, and then the Libre app pushes that data through to the Levels Health app. Now, the Levels Health app has its own algorithms and its own interface, and it spits out some really interesting insights and information. Pretty much what you do is you log your meals, you log your activities such as training, exercise, big stresses or anything like that. You log them throughout the day, right? You sit down and have a meal, you take a photo, you log it in the Levels Health app, and then what happens is the data from your glucose monitor is pushed through to the Levels app, and you see some nice graphs and correlations and insights. So really what I need to do is pull open the app and show you exactly what I'm seeing, and it will help you understand exactly what this app is doing and how it is so powerful. A few quick things. No, it doesn't hurt when I install this. It just, you feel a bit of pressure on the skin and that's it. This last 2 weeks, this is the third one I've ran now. The previous ones lasted just short of 2 weeks, and the first one I actually pulled off quite early because I was a bit worried about it. Turns out I shouldn't have been worried about it. I've been using the Levels Health app now to track my meals and training. My diet has been what I'd call just a regular healthy diet, so you know, all organic or as close to organic as can be, but quite a higher carb, higher fat, just a hey man, I'm happy sort of, I'm enjoying food sort of diet. Again though, if you know a bit about me, most of the food I consume is locally sourced from my farm or my own garden, but you know, we might have some organic ice cream and all that sort of jazz. And I'm also not following any strict training programs or anything like that. I don't have any strict goals or like clear goals like, you know, to get super fit or lose weight or anything like that. So that's enabled me to be a little bit more relaxed in terms of, you know, seeing what insights I can get from the Levels Health app. But I know some people will be attracted to the Levels Health app who want to, you know, lose weight or optimize their health or whatever. One other thing I should mention, I've been fortunate enough to be included on the beta testing program for Levels Health. I think they have a wait list of like 120,000 people, so head over to the Levels Health and you can join that wait list. I think they're aiming to roll out in America end of this year or early next year. For me here in New Zealand, I can buy these sensors from my pharmacy. They're quite expensive, but I can buy them. So I was fortunate enough to buy a couple of these, get access to the beta program, and yeah, I've been lucky enough to play around with the app. So what I'm going to do now is going to open up the app, and I'll show you some of the insights and some of the data that I've seen, and share my thoughts and impressions and what I've learned so far, what I liked, what I didn't like, and you know, what you can expect to get from this app when they do roll it out to the public. All right, let's have a look. Okay, so this is the Levels Health app. So when you log in here for the first time, you see your home screen. Now, the first thing you see, this is actually previous day data because I've just loaded a new sensor up, so I don't get data for a while. So I've gone back a few days. And let me run through the screen. Now, the main thing you see in the middle here is your glucose reading throughout the day. So this is for last Thursday. And you can see the red line across the middle of the screen there. That shows, well, that's levels, what they call, like, you know, ideally you want to keep your blood glucose levels beneath that line. If you look up a little bit, you can see like a knife and fork or a spoon and fork icon just above that $200 line there. Those are the meals I had throughout the day. Now, as I've been testing this, there have been a few updates to the Levels Health app, yes. And the whole interface has changed. So I was quite used to the previous one, and then just before I filmed this video review, they've updated the whole app. So I'm still sort of getting my head around it all, though I do think the new app is quite nice. So what you see with the meals there is you can see a bit of a shadow effect coming down. So that shows the 2-hour period after a meal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on one of these meals here. What I can do here is you can actually scroll down and see what these meals were. So You know what, let's go to a different day where I've got some photos. Here we go. Let's take this day. This day wasn't the best day, and we'll explain why it wasn't the best shortly. But let's look at the meals first. So you can see here in the morning, I had porridge, milk, and some maple syrup at 9 a.m. And that's this data, this reading over here, all right? And you can see as I had that meal, there was a bit of a spike and then a bit of a drop off and then a bit of stabilization. Well, there was a weird sort of spike there. I'm not too sure what that was. But what you can do is throughout the day, you simply log your meals. And to do that, you just hit the plus button here and then you say what you had, you take a photo and it plots it on your chart in the middle. And then as more glucose data comes in, then the algorithm will generate these scores. So you can see down the side here, I've got a 9, a 2, a 10, a 9. And those scores are calculated based on what happens to your glucose levels over the 2-hour period after consuming that meal. So for this particular meal, the porridge, milk, and maple, I got a 9 out of 10, which is good. It's a stable response. It caused a rather minor rise in glucose, and I wasn't above the red line there, which was nice. I can click Analyze, and you can see the glucose peak reading, you can see the glucose change, and time above target. So that red line is what they refer to the target. So that was good. So hence the 9 out of 10. Then for lunch, or late lunch at 2 o'clock, I had a steak with a lot of fat, and I think there was a little bit of ketchup. So I don't have a photo for that, but given that was a very high fat, medium protein, low carb meal, you can see that the glucose effect was very stable. Slight change, and there was 30 minutes above target. That must have been from the sugar and the ketchup, because I did have quite a bit of ketchup from that meal. So that's really cool. And then as we go up to dinner time, just before 6 o'clock, I had this meal: nachos, cheese, sour cream, avocado. I think that was actually venison from some deer that I shot. But you can see what happened here. I got a real bad score, 2 out of 10, right? And this is because I got a massive spike and then massive drop off. So there was a lot of rebound hypoglycemia here. So when I started the meal, my blood sugar levels were 92 milligrams over DL, and you can see that massive spike. It went up to 134 and then dropped all the way down to 83. So that's your rebound hypoglycemia. So ideally, you want a nice smooth pattern. So if you've ever done blood glucose readings, you might do it. So my wife's pregnant at the moment, right? So she's been doing a few blood sugar tests herself, just, because you got to keep an eye on your blood sugar levels when you're pregnant. And, her doctor told her to do a test in 60 minutes and then 2 hours after your meal. And that's what I've used in the past with clients. Whereas the benefit of the continuous glucose monitor and, of course, the Levels Health app is you see this data every minute. So you can see what's happening. It's pretty neat, right? So obviously this meal, based on the Levels Health app, is telling me, hey, it's not very good. If my goal is, stable blood sugar levels, which is important for health, and we'll get into that shortly. So I can click the Analyze button here, and I can see all that data. So 75 minutes above target, not great. Look at that big change, 37 points above the starting point. And I can go down to Zone Details Compare, and I can actually compare another meal, which I haven't used this before. So we'll compare it to porridge and ice cream, huh? So I actually haven't done this before. So this is actually pretty neat. It's the first time I'm seeing this. I think it's a new feature. So here you can compare two meals, right? So I've got the nacho meal with semi sky high and then rock bottom, and then you got the porridge and ice cream meal. That's relative or absolute. So that's there's lots of real cool data, and this is why I like it. Sorry, this isn't my full review. I will be doing a full review after a few months of using this app, so be sure to subscribe for that. The reason why I'm not doing it now is I'm still learning so much about not only the app, but the benefits it brings to me, and also there's lots of changes in the apps, and watching all these videos about how to get the most of it. But I did want to give you guys a bit of an update. So anyway, let's keep playing around with this app. So we go back to our day screen, so you can see a few of the meals there. We had porridge in the morning, my high-fat lunch, and then I actually had porridge and milk for dessert. I was actually rather hungry. That was quite an early meal. It's just before 6 o'clock, so I must have been a bit hungry. Typically, I don't eat after dinner. We usually eat dinner around 6 o'clock, and typically I don't eat after it, but I did in this particular night. So again, you can see your porridge and the response there. Then overall, you get your metabolic score for the day. And given the red sort of hues there, obviously the lower the number, the worse it is for the body and for your health. And the higher days, such as the next day, it's green, right? So I got an 83 on that day. So 69, not a great number. And that's because of all those fluctuations we're seeing, and also the big drop-offs and the time above the red line. So really that nacho meal really stuffed me up, because again, I was nice. Where was I before I had that meal? Down here, 92, and then boom, right up to 134, and then boom, look at that rebound hypoglycemia down there. What did we get down to? Like 80s, 77, crazy. And then boom, back up again. And then just before bed, I had another meal. So that's why I get a suboptimal metabolic score. If we look at the next day, so what day was this? This was Thursday. You can see a much more, relatively stable glucose reading throughout the day. One big spike here, which was my dinner again. So that was at 6:10 p.m. And here, this is what I had. I had some roast pork, some roast kumara, roast sweet potato, roast pumpkin. I think that's applesauce or like stewed apple. And you can see, 6 out of 10, not the best, but it just shows the impact of having all those carbs, right? So I can click Analyze again. You see all the data in there for that meal. And you know what? Let's use that compare function again, so we can go and compare it to nachos. Let's compare these two. And again, you can see the impact that the different meals have. It's pretty neat, right? So there's a lot of awesome insights in this app. And that's why if you're a biohacker or someone passionate about your health, you're really going to love this this app. And it's going to be something that, you'll be hanging out to for the launch, because I think you'll be keen to get on board. As we go, so we're back in the pork, pumpkin, apple meal. And as we go down, we can see here the glucose spikers. So levels identified some ingredients that digest quickly and may cause your glucose to rise. So it's saying here that apple had a moderate impact on my glucose. Now, I don't know if that's derived from my label, pork, pumpkin, cucumber, apple, and it just knows that, hey, I've tagged apple, and the software knows that apples could have a spike, or if it's just looking at the data from my posting, and over time it's identified that, hey, a lot of the meals that Alex has tagged with the word apple seems to have a good spike. And, so I guess what I'm saying is it just pulling this data from a database, or is it just based on the data that I'm inputting? And for instance, if I put a label like ABC123, whenever I had, sugar or an apple, for instance, would that then appear in the glucose spiker table down there? That's one thing I'm still trying to figure out. But anyway, that's the crux of the meal features. And yeah, you get these scores for each meal. So it's quite a unique way to score meals, because I've done a lot of work coaching clients over the time, and I've derived my own scores, based on what's in the meal and, fat to carb ratio and quality of ingredients and all that sort of stuff. But this is giving you a metabolic score. And it's quite interesting, because there is a lot of evidence showing that a stable blood sugar glucose level is important for health and inflammation, and just, hey, how you feel. Like anyone that's had a lot of sugar and then a big crash, you feel like rubbish, right? And it's not good for the health. And the cool thing is, levels go into a lot of the stuff in the learn section of the app over here, which I've enjoyed reading, like just reading some stuff through here, that there's a lot of time and effort has gone into some of these articles. So yeah, so pretty much you're seeing your daily graph, when you have your meals, your overall score for the day, which is updated throughout the day as well. So you get up in the morning and of course it's a really high score, and typically it starts going down after that. You've got your meals, your report, so you can go into your weekly report. So we'll pull this open here. So this gives you insights for the week. And again, there's tons of data in here. If you're a data lover or a biohacker, you're really going to love the Levels Health app. So we've got the metabolic score. So my average score was 71, which is down from last week. I can pull up a trend on that, weekly. So we've got daily scores over time, which would be really cool. Like if you did like a week where you were eating, keto, or if you're doing cyclical ketogenic, or you know, you went on holiday for a week or something like that, right? You'd see a big jump up or whatever. And there's tons of information around it. So like I can click on a particular day, I can see the variability, I can see like there's heaps of data, right? In fact, there's some of this data that even after 3 weeks of using this app, I'm still like learning and discovering for the first time. So heaps of data in there. And then we can see the average glucose, same thing. You got all the data in here, very cool. Highlights. So remember, this isn't the weekly report. So Saturday had the most stable glucose, Tuesday had the least stable, you know, which is quite interesting. This is for last week, so I can't even remember what I was having those days. But there we go. We've got both the data graphs on here. Like I said, it's a really cool app. And anyone that's watched a lot of my reviews, I've reviewed the Oura Ring, and I'm a big fan of the Oura Ring, right? It's all this sort of stuff I'd love to see in the Oura Ring app. Just lots of correlations and lots of highlights and reports, you know, rather than just, all right, here's your readiness and sleep score, like good luck type thing. I love this data, and you learn so much from it, right? So my top scoring zones were when I had some biltong one day, 10 out of 10, hardly any change. When I did a weight training session, some ice cream. I've been really surprised. Ice cream's always quite stable. Give me a 10 out of 10 for that ice cream meal. Obviously just due to the amount of egg yolks and fats in it. Bottom scoring zones, we had nacho, we had cereal, milk, raisins. So that's your weekly report. Really, really cool, right? And then as we scroll down further in the day screen, we see some tips and insights here. So eat earlier in the day. Based on studies, eating during a 6 to 8 hour window. So, and then finishing food no later than mid-afternoon. Realistically, I've looked into this, many years ago, and I've seen the massive health benefits from these longer fasting windows and not eating too close to bed. And typically that's what I do. Like I said, most days of the week, I don't eat past 6, 7 o'clock, right? But every now and then we'll have a late meal. But not having dinner, not eating past mid-afternoon, it's just not realistic for most people. And, I never expected that with my clients. But like those little insights are kind of cool. Give it a thumbs up. There's all these guidelines and tips and little things to practice and learn, to try experiment with. You got some videos in there, how to take it off, which I probably should have watched. Haven't watched that one. And then you got more education. Like I said, it's a feature content-packed app. This is just the home screen, right? Of course, then I can scroll through all these days and see all my data for various days in there. And the color up the top just gives you a quick insight as to how you're progressing. Like if things are getting nice and green and blue, hey, you're on the up. Down the bottom here, we can go into my data. In the my data screen here, we can change the ranges from 7, 14 to 30 days. I will leave it on 14 for now. I actually haven't had my meter on the last 2 days. So, we'll scroll down here. Again, it's just another way to see all this data. You can see all your scores and all the graphs. You could scroll through and see, what happened on this day, for instance. Well, I had some candy. Well, okay, that's the day I had my raisins. And, you see those big graphs. I mean, it's just so much data. It's incredible. It's awesome. I love it. But it's also like, it's not overwhelming. It's not confusing. Or if you want to see that data, if you want to geek out on all this stuff, you can. If you just want to see the highlights, you can do that as well. I really do like it. It's well designed, I think. And then you got your catalog, which is just a scroll of all your activities and meals. And you can, if you see up here, you can compare them. You can filter them from food, from scores, from best to worst. See all my low scoring meals. So we got nachos, we got milk. Well, those are the only 2 that have been under 4. Just so much stuff. So that's my data. And we can go to lessons as well, which is learning more about glucose and diet and everything. So yeah, really good section. I really, really rate it. And then we go into me, and we can see a bit about the sensor, and setup and whatnot. And yeah, the daily summary email. So currently that's enabled, and I haven't actually used it too much, because you obviously get an email every day, and I get way too many emails as it is. But I'm going to show you what those emails look like. So every day I get this email, right? And it comes through and it shows my metabolic score for the day, 82, and that's 13 points higher than the previous day. My average glucose, 97, which is a little bit lower than the previous day. Time in optimal range, 97%. which is up 16. Gives you comparison, right? Really, really cool. All right, and then you can see your scores for all of your activity or your meals throughout the day. So that particular meal, which isn't a nice photo, but you're getting all the scores, right? So you get it all on one big page, which is really cool. Here we go. So it's a quick snapshot, right? And this would be really cool. I wish I had this back when I was coaching clients, because if I could get my clients' data sent to me every day, I'd pull this open and be like, all right, what happened today? Or these meals were great. I can see straight away what they ate, what their scores were. They'd log their activity in here. I mean, it's awesome. I actually designed an app to track a lot of this, not the glucose side of things, but to track the meals and all that sort of stuff. So, I mean, I could have just used the Levels Health app. But anyway, so that's the daily report. And then you also get a weekly report, which is here. Now, this is really cool. Again, I love the data. It's just awesome, right? So you can see your average zone score. It was 6, which is not ideal. Metabolic fitness score, 71%, which is average, not ideal. Top day, 70. I don't know why the numbers for this week were so bad, but they're not ideal. 76 was my top day, which is, again, not great. Bottom day was 67. Top scoring meals, low scoring meals, metabolic fitness throughout the day, average glucose. Hopefully you've been able to get a bit of an idea of as to what content you're seeing, what's available through the app here. Few times there's been issues with data not syncing through, and you just simply click the button up the top right there, and you just do a manual sync request, because remember, this has been pushed through from the Libre app. Now, based on all of this, I just want to share some insights and thoughts. The sensor app only stores 8 hours worth of data, so typically you're losing a bit of data overnight. If I go to bed at 10 and if I wake up at 6:30, I'm going to lose half an hour's worth of data, right? Unless you're syncing through the night, which I have actually done a few times. I wake up in the middle of the night and think, I better sync my sensor. So that is a bit of a bummer. There's also been 1 or 2 days where I've been outside working or get caught up in something and I forgot to sync until later on in the day, and it means you miss a big chunk of data, right? So for instance, this day, in fact, I was helping the builders. We were doing some concreting all day, so I logged my meal at 9 o'clock. Cornflakes, organic cornflakes. It was a real quick meal because I knew I was going to be outside all day. But yeah, I didn't log until quite later on in the day, so I miss all that data, and hence I can't get a score for that meal, which I don't think would have been great anyway. So you get that reading, score not available, because there was no data. The data was recorded, it just, the sensor can't record more than 8 hours worth. So that is a bummer, and I have missed out on a few things based on that, which you kick yourself. You're like, it would have been so cool to see that data. So that is one bummer. You do get some reminders, pop-ups and all that, reminding you to tap your sensor. But, for some people, maybe if you're working as a laborer or something, and you don't have your phone with you, you might not be able to sync it all the time, which is a little bit of a bummer. Otherwise, yeah, for me, it's really, it has had quite a big impact on the foods I eat and what I'm doing, because first, there's two things. Firstly, you start learning, okay, some foods are quite bad and, really messing up my glucose levels. So, you're less likely to eat them, which is great. But the other thing is, when you're tracking things, sometimes I might just, I don't know, between doing videos, I might just duck into the kitchen and grab some, I don't know, some biltong or some organic rice crackers or a piece of fruit, right? Just as a little snack, not really hungry, but it's just there and I grab it. Or maybe there's some leftover food from my toddler's meal or something and I'll just eat that. But now, knowing that I've got to track the meal because it's going to mess things up otherwise, I might not do that, which is good. It's a good thing, but I'm just sure it is something that I have discovered. The other thing is, you don't really want meals too close to each other, because if you see those shadows come through here, and here, right, those are 2-hour windows, right? So the algorithm, the Levels Health app, gives you a score based on what happens to your glucose 2 hours from the moment you eat the meal or log the meal. Now, if I eat one meal here and then another one only an hour later, or a snack an hour later, then the algorithm can't really get a good understanding of what happened, because of course the next meal is going to impact it as well. So, sometimes I may eat dinner, and then as I'm cleaning up, I might have, some milk or some yogurt or whatever, just something as I'm doing the dishes. But I've stopped doing that because I'm like, I really want to see what was going to happen with that other score. And that's actually resulted in me having some later meals, which I typically don't have. So yeah, not bad things. These are just insights and things I've discovered. I have been a little bit surprised as to how severe, if that's the right word, some of my spikes and drop-offs have been. Like you see this meal here, toast, jam, coffee. Like there's quite a big swing in there. And you see the drop off as well. Like I am quite. First time I saw some of these, I was like, "Whoa, this is messed up." I don't feel any issues like with this. It's not like I hit a wall and slumped, or anything like that. But it is, you see that and you think, "Oh, this isn't great, right?" So what that has also wanted me to do now is to tighten up some of my diet, some of my meals, and maybe look at going back into more of a cyclical keto diet where I have, don't have carbs throughout the day, and just save them for dinner time or after training, or go back to more like lower GI carbs. But for now, what I want to do is just keep my diet as is, and that's what this review, is based on. Just my regular higher carb, just healthy foods, healthy quality ingredients, organic rice, organic cornflakes if I have cornflakes, all that sort of jazz, but without tracking macros or anything. So what I might do in a future review is share I might experiment with like fasting or keto diet and have some data points to show you as to what was going on there. Of course, though, this isn't a formal review or anything like that. It's more just a impressions update. If there are things you want me to test or you want to know more about, like leave a question below and I'll do my best to answer them. If you want me to experiment with a particular meal or something, let me know as well. I can do that. So far, I'm very impressed and I like it, and I'm continuing to use it. Unfortunately, I can't give you any details around pricing or anything like that because all that stuff hasn't been released yet. But I can say if you want to learn more about it, head over to the Levels Health website and jump on the email list, and also read some of the articles and check out some of the videos and that, because there's some really, really good quality content over there. So so far so good, and I'll report in with some more updates in the coming weeks and months. If you like this video, give me a like, give me a thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe if you want to hear about my future review updates. Bye guys, bye.